You say Dad.AI.
Dad.AI. This is Dad.AI.
Now say it really clearly. This is Dad.AI.
I can't do that.
Try it.
This is Dad.AI.
Yeah, it is.
Dad.AI. This is
Welcome to Dad.AI, the #1 podcast at the intersection of tech and parenting. Brian, a couple of weeks ago, you came to me with an idea for this podcast. Let's start there. Tell me what you were thinking.
Take it, boy. So you and I have been like ships in the night, right? Finding a way to work together over a number of years now. But the light bulb finally went off when I was just seeing this plethora of AI content. My LinkedIn feed was just overloaded. But it's all about professionals and employees thinking about ways to make themselves a more efficient or productive employee. In parallel, in my own home, I'm using AI in gardening, party planning, storytelling, meal planning, right? And to help me become a better parent and partner to my wife, Sydney. So as I'm looking around at all the content for professionals and all the dad and parenting self-help guides, I saw there was a gap here. And, I thought that there was an opportunity to blend the two together. And so I picked up the phone to the one person I thought can make some magic happen here. And it took you a matter of seconds to say, yeah, hell yeah, let's get on board. So tell me, why is it us two schmucks that are going to solve this gap in the market?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I was literally waiting for a sign from the universe to get going on exactly this project. I've been thinking about this. I've been writing about it for a while, and I feel like you and I both have a unique perspective here, given, frankly, our privileged position at the intersection of dad and AI. During the day, we both have full-time jobs focused on AI, me at IBM, you at Google. But, you and I both know that's really only one of our full-time jobs.
Yep.
In the evening, at 3 a.m., occasionally at 2:30 in the afternoon, maybe 10 seconds from now, certainly on the weekends and the holidays, like our full-time job is being a dad.
Yep.
We're both very active parents. We're both partners to our wives. My kids are finally 4 and 1 now, and yours, I think, is almost 2. And I believe that one of my purposes on this planet is to integrate my tech and my dad identity. That's my pursuit of happiness, and trying to figure out what the future of parenting looks like and what all of this technology is going to unlock. But, as I say, obviously this is a very controversial topic, Brian.
Look, I couldn't agree more. There's 100% privacy concerns. Every single message, every single letter, every single input that you send into ChatGPT, Claude, so on and so forth, it becomes a black box. You don't know how these platforms are optimizing your information, how to use that data to ultimately create better results, better images for that next user that's using that information. And so the sentiment that you'll hear from me on every single episode is both the blessing and curse that comes with AI, right? The art of the possible is truly fascinating, in my opinion. It's mind-blowing, the use cases that can be applied both in the household as well as in professional settings across healthcare and financial services, and the list goes on. And so I think it's upon us to make sure that we're enabling parents out there to how to better equip their kids and ultimately their households to leverage this technology in a safe and compliant manner.
Yeah, I think you and I are already kind of entering the roles that we'll play probably throughout the lifetime of this pod. Me as the technologist, you as the nanny. It's concerning at times, but let's be real, so many systems have access to so much of our information.
Sure.
Prior to AI or in the non-AI paradigm, they're using it to serve ads to us or send us creepy push notifications or sell us stuff we don't need that I still buy on Instagram. And, this is actually an incredibly useful reason to collect data. I think about if I Google a set of questions separately, serially one after the other, Google will collect those queries and use them, will serve me better ads, I'm sure, but it won't actually learn from them and make my results better over time. Whereas if I ask an AI system, that same set of, serial questions, each one will be answered in the context of my prior question and knowing the history of my and interactions with it. And I think that's like an incredibly powerful value add that like there's utility in that. And so, yes,
sure.
we need to do this right. And I think a big part of this will be, a focus on responsible AI and kind of that balance that needs to be struck there. But there is just a huge opportunity here. And, like Andreessen Horowitz, the preeminent venture capital firm, released their first ever investment thesis and market map on AI and parenting. And it's like, we'll display it here. I sent both products, services, and software that are meant to infuse AI into parenting. It's now an investment category. The time is now to be thinking about this and think about how to do it right. So we're doing it. Brian, like, can you just give the audience an outline of, first of all, like, why are we doing this? But then also, like, what can the audience expect from each episode?
We're gonna make some magic happen. So look, this is called Dad.AI, but it's not just for dads, as I think both of us and our spouses can agree to. But this is for the parents who are trying to be the best that they can for their kids, to infuse technology to make their lives easier. And so each episode is going to be broken out into 3 sections. First and foremost, we got our community spotlight. Both of us have a wonderful network of friends, family, colleagues. And so we want to spotlight guests and examples and learnings from the Dad.AI community who's doing it right. How are they leveraging technology in their daily life to be a better parent or better partner? Second, we're going to go into the Dad.AI newsflash. Point of this segment is really to keep parents, give them a pulse on what's happening. You don't have to follow all of the AI news, and white papers, and playbooks. Let us give you that weekly dose of content that's relevant for you as a parent or partner. Last but not least, this is going to be the Dad Hack of the Week. This is essentially a how-to guide. We're going to give you prescriptive recommendations, proactive guidance on how to create the right prompt, and ultimately give you a nice hack as you go into the weekend of whether or not that's storytelling, whether or not that's meal prep, financial planning. We want this segment to be very actionable for the audience. So with that, Jake, let's start out with our first community spotlight. Who do we got?
Awesome. Yeah. Community spotlight. You and I put the call out to our respective networks. We got dozens of responses. I think it was like 65 unique use cases back through our 2 LinkedIn posts. And we built a database, started to look at trends and analysis on it. And a couple really stood out that I'm excited to highlight over the next couple of weeks. But the first one that I had to go with was a comment that we got from a member of the Dad.AI community, Trudy Barrows. She's got a really interesting background. She works at the intersection of AI and design, which is why I am like incredibly unsurprised that she came up with such a cool use case. Her use case was around making movie characters out of drawings that her kids were doing. So you can see here, I'll put a video up of it. Her son, Freddie, was actually drawing a character named Jeff, kind of a drawing that she first animated with AI, and then actually created a video around it, like a movable video. And now they're actually trying to make a short film, and he's planning out the script, etc. Like, what a cool way to harness creativity.
But it allows your kid or your child to be the main character of every single story, right? Like and Trudy became a Disney Imagineer overnight. I love it.
Yeah, Trudy or her son did. I mean, like a 6-year-old being able to actually direct their own films. Yeah. I mean, and in her post, she shared her work, instructions on how to do it. And so like, I, of course, immediately took a drawing of Eden's, had AI turn it into a character. I'll show it here, and then animate. And it was just like the most easy, fun thing. Eden just like loved it. And so like now I'm in this like awkward position where I keep asking my 4-year-old to like draw weirder stuff so I can animate, like do more fun, like nerdy activities with it. But
I tried to take this use case with my sister, who's several years older than me, and she knows nothing about tech, right? She's a dietitian, nutritionist, and who has 2 young kids. And I was trying to explain this to her, and she was like, what are you talking about? I like send you a photo of my kid's drawing, please, just and she didn't understand it. And so I was like, all right, next time I see you, we're going to do this exercise. I'm going to show you how we can take your kid's imagination and take it from here to, infinity. And she was like, all right, like, we'll try. And so I love this use case.
Yeah, I mean, you and I said, but I was at my friend's house. I snapped a picture off the refrigerator and like without asking, like, there's a fine line.
What up, creepy?
Totally horrible with it. I'll admit it. All right. Anyway, Trudy, thank you. Welcome to the Dad.AI Community. We're so excited to keep these ideas coming in and to feature more posts going forward. So everyone, please keep sharing great ideas with us, great use cases through either our Instagram or our LinkedIn posts. And we're looking forward to featuring more on future episodes. All right. Next up, we have our very first Dad.AI news flash. Brian, take us away.
You can't do a news section without featuring our fearless leader, Commander-in-Chief, Donnie Trump. And so, look, our first order of business is actually coming on the heels of what China recently introduced. And so this week, Trump signed an executive order, which made AI education mandatory across American K-12 schools. And so as you can see this link from Louis Gleason here, China announced every child will start learning AI at the age of 6, which is pretty crazy if you break that down, because there's several adults that will never learn AI ever. And that's kind of the crux of this, why we're doing what we're doing, right? Is like try to make adults and parents a little more tech competent as it pertains to AI. But Trump just signed this executive order. And I think this is a pretty big deal, because now every single kid is going to understand how to do prompts, right? How to use AI in a safe, compliant, and ultimately responsible way. And I'm super excited. I know we're the tech optimist pessimist, but I think this is an awesome opportunity for the United States of America.
Yeah, I mean, I love what Trump said. This is a big deal. AI seems to be where it's at. We have trillions of dollars invested in AI, and very smart people are investing in it heavily, including clearly the Chinese government. I think about like when you and I were in school, and like for like obviously like our TI-83 calculators or the internet, like schools have always just been so slow to adopt these technologies.
Yep.
But this feels like one where we are at risk of being left behind if we don't raise a generation of AI fluent kids that realize that there is probably a faster way to solve certain problems by just having a native understanding of like what can this technology do and how can the human impact be amplified through it.
Without a doubt. And look, we've talked about this too, of like, I tinker with the idea of homeschooling. I'm not doing it, but I'm a big public school guy. I'm difficult there. Had to beat you to the punch. But like entire curriculums are being rewritten here. And so I think it's awesome.
Yeah. Well, like I know I made fun of you a lot for your homeschool curiousness, but like I will say like, this is the one area where we're totally aligned, which is that like if schools do what they've been doing, which is like banning the use of AI and basically making kids think it's like a way to cheat, and instead of embracing it and changing the assignment so that like cheating is not a real thing anymore. Yeah, you'll see me homeschooling as well, I guess.
All right. So for our second segment, this is a pretty contentious topic that has recently come out. Give it to us.
Yes. So our second segment is going to be about the sycophant known as ChatGPT. I'm sure that a lot of folks that are kind of tuning in have heard about this, but there was just this outcry recently over an update to ChatGPT that made it just overly agreeable to a point of dangerous, frankly. So OpenAI recently announced this week that they're pulling back an update to ChatGPT after users showed so many ridiculous screenshots of this like sycophant showering them with praise, basically regardless of what they said. It was overly flattering. It was like a narcissist dream. And there were like some huge dangers to this. There was this one user on Reddit that told the chatbot that it was that they were deciding to get off their meds, and the thing ChatGPT was like, "I'm so proud of you. I honor your journey."
Artists.
And the thought is, there was like a real like danger to all of this. Like I could not I can't believe any of this stuff. Brian, what do you think OpenAI was thinking? Like, I'm sure there was like thought that went into this update. Like, what do you think they were thinking here?
I didn't even want to do this segment because I can't pronounce the word. It's a tongue twister for me. Sycophant.
Yeah. What?
There we go.
It's
We nailed it.
I'm worried about you.
I had to give that one to you. But look, I think it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. And it kind of goes back to what we were saying earlier about the data, right? ChatGPT, for all intensive purposes, this ultimately has people spending more time on the app, more time on their browser, entering more inputs and more prompts, because if you're getting good feedback, you're gonna spend more time in it. And I think it's really scary, because agreeable behavior ultimately validates some harmful ideas, right? That could exacerbate some really dangerous thoughts and ultimately some beliefs from people. And so I think they made the right call of pulling this model back and recalibrating things. But it also shows you how if these things get taken out of context, if they spiral out of control, it becomes extremely dangerous for people.
Yeah, I mean, you think about like the TikTok algorithms, like so much of the last 10 years of tech has been around optimizing for eyeballs.
Yep.
And like, from what I understand, and I've been reading a lot about this, like OpenAI A/B tests the S out of their, when I say shit, the shit out of, or A/B test the heck out of their models when they deploy them. And from what I can understand, this model actually was the preferred output in many cases, because humans like to be told that they're great. But there's clearly an over-rotation here, and clearly a risk to all of this. And so I think that hopefully this is a learning from the preeminent foundation model provider, and hopefully controls come in place to not do what we've done with kind of attention hacking with TikTok and Instagram, and try to kind of balance that with the utility component of these foundational models.
Yep. I couldn't agree more. Last but not least, let's give it some proactive, prescriptive guidance with the dad hack of the week. Break it down for us.
Dad hack of the week. This one was actually inspired by the Trump executive order. At least I wanted to talk about it today, and the importance of AI fluency with kids. So today I want to talk to you about how to inspire kids with the art of the possible with AI. And I want to do that through an anecdote, an experience that I had with my nephews recently. They're 8 years old and 10 years old. They came over to my house. They asked me what I did for work. I asked them if they knew what ChatGPT was. And, you know, their response was, of course, like, never heard of it, but my teachers say if we use it, we'll get in trouble. Or I've heard of it, but my teachers say if we use it, we'll get in trouble. It's for cheating, yada, yada. And so that kind of led me to start showing them how it worked. First, we pulled up ChatGPT. They asked the wrong question. They were like, did the Warriors win tonight? And it hallucinated, gave a wrong answer. And like, I had to kind of guide them to the fact that it's a brain you're talking to. It's not an answer engine. We started doing things like, you know, who are the 10 shortest basketball players that were also the most effective at points and rebounding. We created like a graph that showed kind of the correlation between height and shooting and rebounding. And they're like, wow, like this is like, you know, actually like, they're sports nerds, like legitimately interesting stuff. And then they kind of were starting to get a little bored with just kind of this question and answer thing. We created like a quiz app together or whatever. But then I was like, hey, do you want to create a video game? And they were like, what? We can create video games? And so I went over from ChatGPT to Claude, because Claude is really the best coding tool out there today. And, you know, I think like I subscribe to every gosh darn AI service out there, but I do believe that like ChatGPT and Claude, for anyone that's all wanting to experiment, are two really important tools. And Claude has a feature where you can kind of iteratively build applications through that in a very easy to use fashion. That can be really fun for like prototyping. So I said, hey, let's build a game. Let's come up with an idea of a game you want to build. And they're like, well, I want to build a football game. I was like, okay. He gave us a terrible response. I was like, think about like, what do you want this game to do? And they're like, well, like, I want to be able to like run down the field and score a touchdown. I was like, all right, now we're talking here. And so I'll pull up now kind of what we actually built here. And what you'll see is that like, we actually built a fully functioning game where we have a little person running down the field, scoring touchdowns. And one of the coolest parts about this is like the way you build with Gen.AI vibe code. And I do this for real in like a Replit or a Lovable, but for fun in Claude, it's a little bit more like conversational narrative. But the way you do it is basically like you give it instructions, it codes a React application for you, like a full app for you. And then every time you give it follow-up instructions, it just like rewrites the entire thing from scratch each time. And my nephews are watching an app get written in real time and like asking me questions as like code is getting written. And by the end of this, like they were effectively product managers. Like they were coming up with features. Like they're like, well, we need a lead report, we need a high score. But like then they put the high score report there, but it was like, well, it kind of should be at the bottom, not at the top. And like the scoring is kind of off here. And like there should be like a 1v1 mode. Like they were effectively product managers, prioritizing features. And then of course, like, as you can imagine, the thing would error out every 5 minutes or so. And then we'd have to roll back and they'd be like, we should probably go back to the last version of this and start from there. Cause that was working really well. I don't really like the branch that this thing was going down. And like these kids had never really used an AI tool before. And here they are now like coding an app with me. Now, so that was about a week ago. They came back yesterday and they're like, where's the iPad? Let's get going. It's allowed me to like both have a really good time to connect with them. And I hope, build a little bit of AI fluency together, which I believe is going to be one of the critical skills going forward.
And I think that's the fun part of what we're after and what Dad.AI is about, right? Talking about just new use cases, new learnings, sharing that with the community, and ultimately inspiring people to use AI to be a better member of society, be a better parent, partner, spouse, so on and so forth. And we're going to have a lot of fun doing that.
We are. And I think fun is the key here. I think fun, whether you're a 4-year-old or what are we, 36 or something now, like, let's just have fun. And I'm so glad to be having fun with you and doing this. And I can't wait for next week's episode.
Can't wait.
This is Dad.AI.